So then we are back with a more understanding from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end period. Shiahu the prophet, we find ourselves during the time of the restoration period after 2009 and prior of the starting of the autumn feast. But then there is a section related with the Gentile level as far as what the system then coming from the kingdom of the east, and what would be then the requirements to get the kingdom of the east systems then provided with the many areas of relation with the what to produce. So let's try to understand what it means. As the new system of the Chinese comes, produces in each country other subsystems of how they deal with obviously their productions. So as far as learning, it is very imperative removing religion out of learning establishments. It is the utmost important. If you mix religion with learning, never works. So then, understandably, the system of the East, when they do trade, they don't have any religion in it. It is purely trade. Any kind of a relation with religion mixed with learning, and then a more special focus when children are coming up in learning, if you mix religion with it, it is a disastrous. Absolutely disastrous. They have to understand the very clear point of trade, and then understand what it means tabernacling. So then they can grow up without having a relation with what they think they are doing for God. This is the most dangerous problem you can ever imagine. There you are, learning, and then all because you have to have a nice grades because God then is somewhere watching. And then children sometimes they are very sensitive. Oh, if they don't do nicely, then God is going to be angry at them. Do you understand how ridiculous and how dangerous this is? God's got nothing to do with the learning. The objective of the Creator is His then tabernaclings. He has no relation with the regular learning establishment of Gentiles. So why are they mixing then, for instance, funding with the Catholic system of learning? That's religion. They got nothing to do with the market. Let's ask you this question. Catholic system, are they involved with industry? Catholic system, are they for profit or they are religion? They are religion. They are non-profit organization. So where is the link then with industry and religion? That's why the countries related with the Western, related with religion, they are always in bad shape. Because they think they know some sort of a God. It doesn't exist. Only produces burden. So from the viewpoint of the Messiah and of the time of the restoration period, what is then required? It's very simple. Who's going to be in charge in the future as far as trade-wise and industry-wise? Freighters. What can you understand of freighters? You have to understand, you have to have a computer because the system is coming. So then religion, take out of the system. No religion whatsoever, and no funding of any government related with a religious activity. Not even as far as name. Catholic system, heck with them. Get rid of them. Absolutely separation of 100%. No more religion involved with state's money or government's money. Religion is religion. They are non-profit organization. Then you have trade. Trade means then when the system comes, make sure then children understand how to use the computer, how to invest via the computer. The greatest understanding they can ever have when they are very tiny and they are understanding systems is how to deal with eBay. or Amazon, PayPal, where you teach there is a system coming where then the Chinese system then becomes the regular and then neutral point from every nation. They understand the Bank of China is the linking of their funding and the investments and then the items and then freight and then print out a label and then sending a package, then receiving a package, doing the paperwork. This is what is important. Then as far as then what would be then the requirements of having then freighting? You have to understand then roads must be then generated, created. Then you have to understand that it has to have a refueling. You have to understand then refinery. You have to understand what it takes to get a refinery going. Pumps, motors, electric systems. Then you understand ships, how to construct a ship. So you can mold the future via those very interesting plans of the regular trade. But please, don't mix religion with it. It creates a huge burden upon people. Hey, they're not interested in it. Absolutely not interested, because God, the Creator, He's not involved with Gentile learning. He wants the world, the Gentile world, to learn tabernacling. What did He say? 6 days people should do the work. The seventh they rest. So they have to do the work during 6 days. And those are for the set apart. As far as Gentiles, not even required. But then it is the utmost disturbing. Countries, realms involving funding and then religious organizations. It is absolutely freaking ridiculous. That's why the world is upside down. It is absolutely in a bad shape. Because people mix a God that does not exist. The Catholic system is a fraud. There is no God in the Catholic system. It was invented. But then states and realms and countries involving then learning of children with a God that does not exist. So let's be frank. The Messiah said the freighters of the earth are in charge. He never said regarding then, the Catholic system, they are in charge. He never even mentioned. He said the freighters of the earth. Then you lined up the learning of children with freighting. What's coming in the future as far as this trade is concerned. Holy God, it's so obvious. But then countries are trying to get together again, as then Daniel the prophet. He said during the time of the deceit, countries would try to come together and try to adhere to each other, come up with their own world order system, and try to make it work as what they think is God. Because Shaliach Shaul said, if any other person comes to you and teaches you another Messiah other than what Moses taught, then is the false Messiah. Has to have tabernacling. Then you find the same old junkies coming around and trying to fix their system and mixing religion in the midst of it and try to make this system work. And Daniel said, it won't work. Absolutely 100% separation of trade and religion. Religion is non-profit. Trade is for profit. Don't mix those. If you like a religion, be religious. But when you are doing trade, you are doing trade. So freighters of the earth, what can you expect from freighting? We understand governments are going to be subjected to freighters. It is the normal factor of what the Messiah said, and the freighters of the earth. They are in charge. Governments are going to line up with freighters, liking it or not, because governments are not tracking parcels as they should. When the new system coming from the east, it is a confidential system where each individual can invest, they can receive, they can purchase, but the government cannot charge taxes. because it's a foreign system. They can have it there 12 digits if they want. Because it's a system of overseas, the government can't sneak around. The only way of knowing the amount of funding is when they purchase. So put your heads to work rather than have your mind clouded with religious crap. Make sure you understand the system is confidential. The only way you understand what they are earning is when they purchase. When the label is generated of this particular product for freighting, then the description, price, and taxes must be then taken care of instantly. So where is the religion playing around with this trade? Doesn't exist. So let's understand, the Catholic system is a piece of crap. Only promotes destruction. Because they are non-profit organization. They are from the time of deceit. The only situation can be on their favor is work ethics. Work ethics means religion does not mix with trade. So then, the Messiah very instantly said, and the freighters of the earth are in charge. Let's understand the importance of crude, the importance of road construction, the importance of refineries, and then you educate your people, your younger ones, based from freighting. This is what's coming. But don't try to be overcomplicated. You have to understand what it takes to get freighting then in line. You have to understand how you, as a leader of a country or a realm, can get in line with the freighters. When you do this, then the freighters, they have certain requests for certain areas of the country where they may have over there more depots, more refueling stations, more road construction, so they can do their job. Then you invest in your people via vocational learning centers. It's quite obvious. Then you can understand in the very near future, then comes the big companies, for instance, FedEx, UPS, and those freighting companies, they have to establish themselves in areas of the world where it is extremely remote. So if you are part of a larger island, then what can you expect when there are lots of freighters then competing against each other, and then those areas then targeted as areas of refueling and delivery of parcels? That's why the danger of having overly educated people is, the more overly educated people, the stupider the system gets. Because overly educated people are overly complicated. It's a lot of complications they are causing themselves because of their lack of a simplicity. Countries are not going to control the market anymore. When the Messiah stated, Galah 1:8, Revelation 1:8, and the freighters of the earth then in the 8th chapter, you understand you have to retrieve from it and understand what freighting is going to cause with the economy. Duh! Duh and duh! Is technology going to be big? No. Technology is not going to be big. The technology required for this time of restoration was already set during the time of 2009. The 2009 technology was already enough for the entire works of the restoration period. You have to have a decent computer, a few hard drives in your CPU, a decent system so you can understand what goes on in your hard drives, and do trade with the system. So even if a kid, for instance, in a learning establishment is not doing very nicely, teach a computer. Don't be concerned in trying to force the kid to do the kid doesn't want. Because there is a schedule to be completed. It's your schedule. Make sure you understand. In a more complicated one, they stick God in a situation. They don't even understand who God is. So if you want to know what is the future of the kid, understand what it takes to get freighting underway, whatsoever area related with the freighting, then you place the kids in a laboratory with lots of technologies of simplicity, motor, engines, trucks, or then diesel mechanic of ships. You place those in a very big depot and let the kids run around. They're going to find their interest. Then after an hour, while only watching from afar, make sure they don't get hurt. Then they're going to find some groups over there, some groups over there, some groups over there. They begin to understand what they like. But then over-educated people, they are complicated. They are control freaks. They try to control every section of the situation, and then they place religion, the Catholic crap. And the kids, they don't even know what they want yet, but then they have to get this formal understanding every time. Doesn't even work for the country. Construct a very nice and simple depot with many kinds of simple technology and let them over there play around with the equipment. An hour after, you're going to find, groups over there, groups over there. Obviously, then they have interest in the area. That's why the machine was so simple. It's that the freighters of the earth, they're going to be in charge. And then the governments have to line up with the freighters. And then what do the freighters want? They want this related with freighting. And then the education of the children. What is the market? Freighting? Okay, related with the freighting. The Catholic system is the most damaging religion system ever existed. It destroys. Because they portray a God that does not exist. It's a burden. If they want to understand religion or who God is, Galah, Revelation, understand tabernacling. And the learning of tabernacling is very interesting. It doesn't cause a burden. So then, what can you expect of your nation? If you are a nation on an island, for instance, a very big island, and you are near very many other tiny islands, wouldn't that be important of having a nice port or many modern ports on your island? Refineries? So then freighters can come to your island and get refueled and deliver parcels to somebody else? Or you are so overly educated you don't understand the basics. But the situation with children, they are curious by nation. Nations are absolutely replete with the kids and they are curious. Are you going to give them boring piece of paper with a pen and then have to watch an adult over there? Blah, 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 blah. Of course it's boring. Don't even start with this formal crap. It doesn't work. In these days of technology, simple technologies, a very nice large depot with many kinds of simple technologies. Let them run around. Let them play with radios, let them play with computers, let them play with motors, let them play with trucks. After an hour, a couple of hours, then comes a person over there, as if a person is not interested in any of those kids, but then they are interested but not interested, so they don't give this, crazy authority crap, control freak presence. Go around and verify, these people over there, they like this, then you find what they like. The natural understanding is they're going to like the area of their learning. No, but then comes the religious, stupid, overeducated people. Because they have to have more funding of these Catholic learning centers, and then they have to have more money for the upgrading of their education. They have to have more computers in the learning establishments. They have to have this funding to help the other kids, and some of them won't be very nicely. They have to have special care. Does it sound ridiculous? Simple technologies. When you understand of refinery, for instance, the very understanding is you have a big drum, you lit the fire under the drum, you place crude in the drum, and then begins to react. Then PSI increases, and then each level are then the derivatives of petroleum. You begin to play around with the kids, show them how to make gasoline. Doesn't have to be in a big scale, it has to be in a very tiny scale so they understand the principle. A few years later you have 10 directors of refineries, and the cost of learning minimum, because it's simple. Then you have to find truck drivers. Then we understand it's going to be very big mining equipment. When a person is overly educated, you can be sure that a person is stupid because of the amount of knowledge. Becomes ridiculous. Always simplicity. First, simplicity. Kids have to find an area where they like it. No complication. If you want to understand computer, find the simplest computer ever. Placed in a depot. If they like radio, the simplest radio placed in a depot. The simplest engine so they can learn mechanics. The simplest truck so they can understand truck mechanics. And then the formal junk, bits and pieces, can be introduced while they learn what they like it. Let them run the show. As we understand, these days requires a specialization in certain areas. If a kid truly enjoys of working with the mechanics, make sure then the formal studies they get gradual, involved with the vocational. Let the vocational be the center of the situation. So they're wasting so much money, they don't even know what they're doing. And worse, then they mix with religion. Ridiculous. Because if you don't have nice grades, then God's going to be angry at you. Oh, come on. Let's talk. Where did you get this from? Boy, if I hear ever a parent saying this to a kid, boy, I would get my scripture from the Israelic lineage, going to put in front of them, teach the scripture. I want to hear it. Never, under any condition, mix learning with God. Don't mix it. Let the kids learn what they want. If they have interest for God, they will ask you. Don't give your opinion.